And I'm going to repeat what I just said, so bear with me. So our Facebook process is a three-step process. There's a ready, a set, and a go phase. We're currently in the ready phase, and then we're going to be moving to the set, which is a one-day boot camp focused on the mechanics of being an administrator of a Facebook page. And the last phase of the go phase is a very short window to finish up the setup and then get launched. So I'm going to go through each of these phases now. So what's the ready phase? The ready phase is what we're in now. We're already halfway through it. Each center has already sent in their application. We're following up to make sure they're completed completely. But during this period, what we need everyone to be doing is getting comfortable with Facebook. All of our authors should already know how to use Facebook basically. What a poke is, what a post is, what a wall is, how to upload photos, how people converse on it, how to add friends, how to like a page. And those basic mechanics, we're expecting everyone to already know that. If you don't, what I suggest doing is spending a little bit of time with one of your coworkers that does and get more familiar with it. The next thing we need to be doing in this is each center needs to have a Flickr page set up. We use Flickr with the photo website, so you can upload photos there and share them. And the reason we're doing Flickr along with Facebook is that Flickr we can integrate with our website. We can try to integrate eventually with newsletters and with Facebook. So it's reusability of those photos. And the storage capability and the ease of use is a little nicer than the Facebook albums. So when there's lots of pictures, it's great to use that Flickr. The other thing we're doing before the boot camp is each of you got the author agreement in the Facebook welcome. That you're just review it, because that will give you really a solid idea of what we're expecting of you. And the basic principles around it is just the type of behavior we're expecting, and then what your responsibilities are going to be as an author. And then you have two homework assignments before the boot camp. One is to read those articles about how to write for the web, because we're not going to spend a lot of time on that kind of messaging of how to write short, how to use bullets, how to avoid long posts. And then the last one is you're supposed to write 2 posts that you would like to do as an author. Any questions on the prep work that's due? Okay, so the boot camp. The boot camp is right in the middle. It is a one-day boot camp. The plan right now is from 9:30 till 3. Originally I had said 3:30, but I think we can do it till 3. We may even be able to sneak and finish before 2:30. But it just depends on how the group goes, how the interaction is going. And it is a long day. We will be providing lunch. The day is broken up, though, to a lot of different things, and we're trying to break it up so that it's not all presentation. We're going to do some interactive work. We're going to do some actual work. The trick with the work that we do during the workshop, though, is you have to bring the materials and be ready with your homework. And those things are, you need 4 sample communications that you recently sent out. You need to have written 2 Facebook posts, and you need to bring your marketing calendar. And that's going to be very important, because otherwise you're not going to be able to do the group work that we're going to do that day. Our preference is to have all the authors together at one session, and that day is going to really focus around the mechanics of being an administrator, not being a Facebook profile person, but how to administer a page. And then the second part of it is just the strategy that we're trying to follow of how to reply to comments, how to moderate the page, and what kind of expectations we have around content. And welcome, who just joined? I heard a ding for a phone. Okay. So other than that, that's the boot camp is very critical, because that will be our one shot to get all of that information to you. And we tried to shrink it down to one day, because we didn't want you guys to have to leave the office multiple days. We know it's a long day and it's hard to get away for the full day, but we didn't want to do this over several meetings. And we do think it's important to do in person, because we're going to be doing some group work, and this is our first effort of doing this. And I'm going to take a sidestep right there and just mention that, before I forget to mention that, This is a pilot process. This is our first attempt at launching pages for all of our centers. So this will be a learning process as we go for all of us. So part of what we're going to do at the boot camp and part of what we're going to do throughout all of these trainings is we want you guys to step up and ask questions. If you guys see something that you're not quite sure that you agree with, if you guys think something could be done differently, or if you just have comments, just step up and say them. We've already kind of learned from our first 2 pilots of Facebook some things that we want to try to avoid, some things we're doing differently this time. But we really want you guys to own this and to just, if you guys see something or if you, have a question, don't be afraid to ask because somebody else probably has that question too. So on that note, are there any questions about the boot camp or anything I've covered so far? Okay, then I'm going to move on. So once the boot camp is over, there will be a very short window, about 11 days to be exact, more like 9 because Monday we actually go live, so everything should be done before the 20th. You guys will have a quick set of homework of filling in some holes on your Facebook pages. And everybody that has been to the boot camp will be given administrator rights like right after the boot camp, so you guys can go in and fill those in. But anybody that hasn't been to the kickoff, hasn't been to the boot camp, won't be able to be an author. You need to go to the boot camp in order to become an author. And then on the 20th, we will actually be done. That Monday, August 23rd, we will go live. And then from there, we'll start our promotion plan. And it's kind of a gradual promotion plan. The basics behind it is we're going to launch internally, try to get some staff to like it, some members that we already know, and then do a little bit of an advertisement, and then kind of build up to a bigger advertisement once we've got a little bit of traffic on each of the pages. But the key here will be for each of you to go back to your center, fill in the pages, and then start to tell all your staff about it. And then the last part is just be prepared with your content. All right, so I am done with the phases, and I'm going to go into a little bit about how we're going to use Facebook. And please do interrupt if you have questions. All right, so how is this going to work? Basically, each center is going to have their own page. And I'm showing you the one below that we already launched, which is called YMCA Safe Kids, just as an example. What we are going to do, actually marketing is basically doing all this work, is that we are creating this avatar for you over here. We're going to fill in the info tab. We're going to fill in this little box here. We're going to go through all of the admin settings and set them up at a default that we think is the right default to start with. And then we're going to add some tabs over here. So when you get the page, it will almost be all completed. Your job will be to start filling in the wall and add any details or any extra content that you guys want, any photos, those kinds of things. We are setting up a one page for the Metro Association. It's just going to be YMCA Metro Chicago. And we are working out some mechanics around how content from that page can be pushed to all centers. So that if it's an association-wide kind of piece of information, it will appear on everybody's page, just to help supplement content so that there is more of a stream of content. And the actual Facebook design will be shared at the boot camp, and everybody's excited to see it and do those kinds of things. So that's where we're going to start with at the boot camp, is showing you guys the design. And I'm really excited. Jenny has done a fantastic job with that. All right, so where I've gotten the most questions right now so far is why do I have to have my own profile? What's the difference between a profile and a page? So I wanted to take a few minutes. This wasn't planned and part of my agenda, so I'm going to try to do the best I can with this. But the way Facebook works is that each individual across Facebook, the only way you can be a part of Facebook is to have an individual profile. We are expecting each author will have their own individual personal profile. And that, what I suggest you do is, if you haven't already done it, and if you have never really looked through your privacy settings, now is the time to do that. Go through, decide what you want the public to see, what you want your friends to see, what you want your network, what your friends of friends to see, and what they're allowed to do. And then if anybody needs it, I'm going to go ahead and include it on the follow-up, but I will send out, there's an article that just kind of gives you some basics of how to manage your privacy settings. But each person within Facebook has a profile, and that's what a profile is. What we are launching is what is called a Facebook page. And a page is meant for an organization, a company, a band. It's a thing, not a person. So this page that we're launching will be, for example, Leaning Tower YMCA page. And the only way I can give you access to edit the page is to attach it to your individual Facebook profile. That is how you get permission to edit the page. And then the way that works is, the questions I get the most often is, well, does that mean that everybody that comes to my page will see my profile? And the answer is no. People that come to the page, there's no way, there's no list, there's no directory of who the administrators are. So when you go to like Coca-Cola, or if you go to Comcast, or if you go to some page right now, and you try to figure out who owns that page, there is, oh, I'm getting a lot of background noise from somebody. If you can mute, if you've got a lot of background noise, that would be great. All right, so that's the big thing is that once you're on a page, there's no way for me to know who the administrators are. So we're not going to use your personal profile for people to see it. The other thing is once you're an administrator and you come to the page and you post something on the page, it will come from the page, not from you. So when you're there, you're posting content, you're adding to the wall, you're adding photos. If you're an administrator for that page, everything will come from the page, not from you. The one exception is that if you send someone a message, it will always come from person to person. So if you use the message, the pseudo email system within Facebook, that's always person to person. It's never page to person. So what we're asking everyone to do, and according to the way Facebook works right now, is that if you come to the Leaning Tower YMCA page and you click like, and you are one of our fans, as the Facebook administrator for that page, I can only see the information about your profile that you have set that allows anybody in your privacy settings to see. And that is the way Facebook currently works. They keep changing their privacy settings. They keep changing the way Facebook works. But currently, just because you like the YMCA page does not mean that I have full access to see your profile. Your profile is as private as you want it to be according to Facebook right now. But I want to make that separation of profile is an individual, page is a thing, and just because you like the page doesn't mean we can see your profile. And just because you're the administrator of a page doesn't mean that everybody can see your individual profile. So we're not trying to open up everybody's personal information on their profile, but that's the only way you can have access to edit the page.
Steve, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Should we, if we already have like a personal profile page, should we open up, can you open up a second page that's like more business oriented? You know what I mean? So you're not like seeing pictures of my kids or whatever?
Well, that's what I just said though. I can't see those unless you set your privacy settings that way.
Okay. But I mean, would you suggest like to open one?
I would not suggest that because there's two reasons. One is that's against Facebook rules. Facebook terms and conditions says every person can only have one profile.
Okay.
And that's the stance that they have. Now, whether they enforce that, whether other people do it, if you ask around, the point is Facebook says you shouldn't do that. I don't know what the repercussions would be or anything like that, but what we are trying to do is stay within the guidelines that Facebook has set and play by their rules so that we don't, so there aren't any repercussions from them.
Okay.
What I would do, though, is spend some time looking at your privacy settings and make sure that if we're not friends, that there's a lot of everything is blocked. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would not recommend creating a second profile. There's others that may tell you something different, but that we're trying to play by Facebook's rules.
Okay. Thanks.
And yep. Any other questions on this?
Steve, this is
Yeah.
Ken Matt from Kelly Hall YMCA.
Yep.
Yes. When you set up your profile page and they ask you for your email address, are we using the YMCA as far as the email address, or are we using like our own personal, like Hotmail or whatever?
You can use whichever email address you want. If I was setting it up for myself, I would use a personal email address.
Okay.
And then the second thing I would do, though, is I would go in there, and there's a place where you can add additional email addresses. I would put my work one in there.
Okay.
But just for long-term sake and usability and those kinds of things, everybody basically sets up their profile using their personal email and then adds their work in there.
Okay.
Other questions on this? But again, the path that we're going down is that we want everyone to be comfortable with Facebook before the boot camp. So get in there and look around, get comfortable with it, because when we get to the boot camp, we're going to focus on the mechanics of managing a page, not managing a profile. Okay. Any other questions? We can always answer more when I'm not going to cut you off, but I can come back. Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right, so authors. The basic overview of the duties of an author is going to be three types of things. One is just the regular daily kind of posting content and planning out what you're going to say, what you're going to use it for. But the second is probably the most repetitive, that's going to need to be done the most, is checking for comments, checking for what the fans are doing on the page and looking for the interaction. We're trying to set the standard that it does not take longer than a day to reply to a comment. So if somebody posts a comment on your page, we want that replied to, whether it's just thanks for the comment or whatever the reply is. And we're going to go over some best ideas around how to reply at the boot camp. But if you were to ask me which of these jobs is the most important for an author, it's the middle. We've got to reply to comments. We've got to react when people interact with us. And the last one is managing. The way this basically is going to work is IT and marketing are going to do a lot of upfront work to set this up, and then it's going to be up to the centers to own it from there. If you want to add any tools, if you want to expand the functionality, but basically the support and the way it's going to work is if you add it, you support it. If you decide that you want to add some functionality around this or that, you can check with us first, but you will be responsible for doing it and maintaining it. We do have some rules that we want everyone to follow. We don't want anything added that will do financial transactions. No, we don't want to do fundraising yet, and there's a few other rules that we'll go over with boot camp. But that's the basics. Authors are going to be responsible for managing the content, moderating the discussions, and then managing the tools. And the last part there is the metrics, which is a very, very simple part of it that we'll cover at the boot camp. So what are the next steps before the boot camp? Everybody should create a Flickr account for their Y. If you're new to Facebook, you need to get there and learn it, your homework, and then attend the boot camp. And I tried to cover all of those things, the actual agenda here, as quickly as I could so we could leave as much time as possible for questions. And I did exactly what I wanted, which was cover everything in a half hour and leave time for questions. So the rest of the meeting is up to you guys. Questions?
Okay, I may sound like an idiot, but I'm not even really sure what Flickr is.
Oh,
I've heard it, but I don't know what it is or where it is or.
Yep, and Flickr is what we call a photo sharing site. So what you can do there is you go there and you can upload all of your photos and then create like little albums or sets. And it's a public website, so you can say.
Okay, yes, I do know that. Okay.
Yeah, and then the reason we're using Flickr though is the integration between Facebook as well as our website, and then just long-term a better repository of images for whatever we do next.
Okay.
And you can put them directly in Facebook, which is what we're going to recommend everybody do. Like if you have 100 photos of your Healthy Kids Day, what we would recommend doing is dump all 100 into Flickr, and then pick about 10 or 20 and upload them into an album on your page, and then say, put a link on there to the Flickr slideshow. But it's going to be harder to upload all those to Facebook, and you don't want to overwhelm with too many pictures. A good selection is better on Facebook than blasting 100 pictures onto Facebook.
And Steve, you're going to send out instructions for how they can set up accounts and where they can do that and everything, right, for Flickr?
Yes. So I'm going to plan another half-hour call for Flickr questions sometime between now and the boot camp. And I'm going to send out instructions of how to create a Flickr account, but it's really straightforward. But there is a step that we want you guys to do, so wait to create the Flickr until you get the email after this meeting, because we do want it created in a fairly specific format.
Steve, Becky
Yep.
from Flickr. Do you recommend for centers, like we have a Flickr account already, and one of the problems that I've run into in the past is because we try to take the photos at the highest resolution or the highest quality photos that we can when we're taking them, so that way we can use them pretty much anywhere. The maximum that Flickr lets you upload in a month, we exceed that with photos from one event.
Right.
Are other centers doing that, like, I think it's like $25 for the year or whatever, and you get unlimited? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is it's worth the $25. It's, a very minimal amount to get the pro account. And you do run up against the free version, you do run up against the minimum very, very quickly. So I would recommend that each center, I think the execs can cough up $25 to manage that. Or the other option is just pick and choose which photos you're uploading there. But it's definitely worth it to get the pro account because it comes with some other little nice features in there too. Other questions? About Facebook, about the responsibilities, timelines, deadlines? Are we being reasonable?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I thought there was going to be a lot more questions, but I guess we're doing well then.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
One of the things, this is Judith. One of the things that I would offer is for the people who are new to Facebook and you're looking at setting up your profile, etc. You're welcome to look at my profile. It's just I'm the only Judith Soldai out there. You're welcome to look at that, and you'll see that I have everything blocked. So the only thing you'll be able to see is I think how many friends I have or something like that, just to make sure that you're convinced that those privacy settings work, because I've got everything super tight. So, and I did it basically following the instructions that Steve has sent you or sending you as a link. So please don't be afraid to poke around in there and change your privacy settings.
Well, good. If there's no other questions, then we will do what I like to do and end early. Any other questions?
Nope.
Going once? Going twice? Okay, then you'll see an email come from me with some follow-up information about the privacy settings, a little detail about the Flickr account and the instructions for that, and then we will see you all at the boot camp.
Great.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Thank you.